You've seen it before, even if you won't admit it. A man walks into a room whole, steady posture, grounded voice, clear direction in his movements. Then she enters, and within seconds, something subtle begins to fracture. His tone shifts, his body tightens, his awareness, once broad and controlled, narrows into fixation. He is no longer operating from center, he is reacting. What you just witnessed was not attraction, it was a quiet collapse of authority. Because the truth is simple, and most men will never say it out loud. They do not become weak because women are powerful. They become weak because they have never established power over themselves. Nietzsche understood this long before modern psychology dressed it up in softer language. Man is not meant to be ruled by pleasure. He is meant to impose structure on chaos, to direct energy, not be consumed by it. But the modern man has inverted this order. He calls his impulses natural, his lack of control, honesty, his neediness, connection. He has turned submission into identity. So when desire appears, raw, immediate, biological, it does not meet resistance. It meets a man who is already undisciplined, already fragmented, already waiting to be moved by something external. And that is where the shift happens. Not in the woman, but in him. Because desire, in its pure form, is just energy, a signal, a momentary pull. But in the undisciplined mind, it is inflated into something else entirely. Importance, urgency, meaning. He sees her, and instantly, without evidence, assigns value that does not exist. Not based on her character, not based on her behavior, not based on reality, but based on his own internal lack. His brain floods with dopamine, exaggerating her significance, distorting perception. Now she is not just a woman, she is the woman. The opportunity, the validation, the moment that might change something inside him. And from that second forward, he is no longer interacting, he is negotiating from below. Watch his behavior closely. He starts to overthink simple words. He filters his personality. He edits his tone. His natural rhythm disappears, replaced by calculated responses designed to avoid rejection. He laughs too quickly, agrees too easily, explains too much. His body betrays him, shoulders slightly tense, eye contact either too forced or too weak, movements no longer fluid but reactive. And the most dangerous part? He believes this is normal. He believes this is what attraction feels like. But this is not attraction. This is exposure. Exposure of a man who has no internal command structure. Because a man who is grounded does not inflate what he sees. He observes it. He processes it. But he does not lose position. He does not assign meaning before it is earned. He does not treat beauty as authority. But the weak man does. And the moment he does, the hierarchy is set. She does not have to say a word. She does not have to assert dominance. He has already placed her above him through perception alone. And once that happens, everything that follows is predictable. He begins to seek approval, even subtly. He wants her to smile, to respond, to engage. He starts measuring himself against her reactions. If she pulls back, he leans in. If she delays, he fills the silence. If she shows slight interest, he overinvests. His internal state is no longer stable, it is dependent, and dependence is the foundation of weakness. Not because he desires her, but because he needs the outcome to go a certain way. And the moment a man needs an outcome, he loses leverage over himself. This is where Nietzsche's concept of slave morality becomes visible in real time. The weak man reframes his lack of control as virtue. He calls his nervousness caring, his overinvestment effort, his inability to walk away loyalty. But underneath all of it is fear. Fear of not being chosen, fear of not being enough, fear of returning to the same internal emptiness he was trying to escape in the first place. So instead of standing firm, he bends, he adjusts, he compromises his own standards before they were ever tested, and he does it quietly, convincing himself he's just playing it smart. But women are not responding to his words. They are responding to his state. And his state is unstable. Because no matter how well he hides it, the underlying energy is clear. He wants something from her. Not just connection, but validation, confirmation, relief. And that creates tension, not the kind that attracts, but the kind that repels. Because attraction is not built on what you say. It is built on how little you need. And this is the part most men will never confront. They think their problem is external, that they need better lines, better timing, better strategies. But the real issue is structural. They have built no hierarchy within themselves, no order, no discipline strong enough to withstand the pressure of desire. So when it arrives, it does not meet resistance, it takes control. And once desire takes control, the man disappears. What remains is a version of him shaped entirely by what he wants to happen. That is why two men can see the same woman and experience completely different outcomes. One remains centered, curious, observant, grounded in his own frame. The other becomes reactive, impressed, eager, subtly desperate for engagement. Same stimulus, different internal order. One operates from authority, the other from lack. And that is the truth most men spend their lives avoiding. Attraction does not expose women. It exposes you. It reveals your discipline, your structure, your ability to remain unchanged in the presence of what you want. Because the moment your behavior shifts, your values bend, or your composure breaks, you have already answered the question she hasn't asked yet. Once desire takes control, something more dangerous than weakness begins to unfold: distortion. The man is no longer simply reacting. He is now reconstructing himself in real time, not to express who he is, but to secure an outcome. This is the moment he stops being authentic and starts becoming strategic in the worst way, not calculated from strength, but edited from insecurity. And this is where attraction dies quietly, not because he lacks value, but because he abandons it the moment it matters most. You can always spot the shift. It's subtle at first. He was relaxed before, speaking naturally, moving without hesitation, grounded in his own rhythm. But now, every word is filtered. Every action is weighed. He is no longer present. He is observing himself from the outside, trying to manage how he is perceived. This creates a split. There is the man he is, and the version of him he believes she will accept. And once that split forms, tension follows. Because now, instead of interacting with her, he is performing for her. He starts saying things he doesn't fully believe, laughing at things he doesn't find funny, agreeing with opinions he hasn't even processed. He becomes agreeable, not because he is aligned, but because he is avoiding friction. He avoids disagreement, avoids tension, avoids anything that could risk rejection. And in doing so, he removes the very thing that creates attraction: contrast, presence, unpredictability. What remains is a safe, polished version of himself that lacks weight. And weight is what commands attention. This is the paradox. The more he tries to be liked, the less he is respected. Because respect is not given to men who adapt themselves to gain approval. It is given to men who remain unchanged under pressure. But he does not understand this. He believes success comes from minimizing risk. So he smooths his edges, softens his tone, dilutes his opinions. He becomes easier to accept, but harder to feel. And without tension, without a sense of grounded resistance, attraction has nothing to anchor itself to. Internally, the damage is already done, because now he is operating from a false position. Every response she gives is no longer being received by his real self, but by the version he constructed. So even if she shows interest, it does not satisfy him, because on some level, he knows it wasn't him she responded to. It was the performance, And that creates deeper instability. Now he has to maintain it, sustain the image, keep the act consistent, and the more he does, the more disconnected he becomes from himself. This is where overthinking begins to spiral. Every message becomes a calculation. Every delay becomes a threat. Every interaction becomes something to analyze. He replays conversations, questions his tone, wonders if he said too much or too little. Because when you are not rooted in truth, you are forced to constantly manage perception. And managing perception is exhausting. It drains clarity, it creates anxiety, it keeps him in a reactive state, always adjusting, never grounded. At the core of this behavior is illusion. He has projected value onto her that she has not earned. He has turned her into something symbolic: validation, status, emotional escape, sexual access. She is no longer a person being evaluated. She is a solution being pursued. And once that happens, the power dynamic shifts completely, because he is no longer choosing. He is trying to be chosen. And that is a position of weakness, no matter how confident it looks on the surface. This is why he ignores red flags, why he tolerates inconsistency, why he stays longer than he should, because walking away would mean losing the outcome he is already emotionally invested in. And he cannot afford that. Not because she is irreplaceable, but because he has made her important. Important to his ego, important to his sense of worth, important to the narrative he has built in his head. So instead of stepping back, he leans further in, adjusts more, tries harder. And with every move, he reinforces the imbalance. Nietzsche warned about this transformation, the descent into what he called the last man. A man driven not by power, but by comfort. A man who avoids tension, avoids risk, avoids anything that threatens his emotional stability. In the context of attraction, this becomes the man who plays it safe, who doesn't lead, who doesn't challenge, who doesn't stand firm. He becomes predictable. And predictability, in this dynamic, is death. Because attraction does not respond to safety, it responds to presence, to grounded certainty, to a man who is not easily moved. But the performer is always moving, always adjusting, always trying to stay in control of something that cannot be controlled externally. And in doing so, he loses control internally. The irony is that he believes he is gaining an advantage, that by being more agreeable, more attentive, more responsive, he is increasing his chances. But in reality, he is doing the opposite. He is removing all resistance. And without resistance, there is no tension. Without tension, there is no intrigue. Without intrigue, there is no attraction. What remains is familiarity without depth, interaction without impact. And at some point, she feels it. Not consciously, not logically, but intuitively. Something is off. Something is too easy, too smooth, too accommodating. And even if she can't explain it, she begins to disengage, slowly at first, less responsive, less invested, less present. And he feels it immediately, which only makes him try harder, tighten control, increase effort. And now the cycle is complete. He is chasing something that is already slipping away, not because she took it, but because he gave it up the moment he stopped being himself. This is the cost of performance. You may gain temporary access, you may even create short-term interest, but you will never create lasting attraction from a position that is not real. Because eventually, the act breaks, the tension cracks, the truth leaks through, and when it does, there is nothing left to stand on. Because the man she met was never fully there to begin with, and the one who was hidden the entire time. Thus remember, we are in Deceptor. The Crusaders Bundle. 4 ruthless lessons. 1 unbreakable code. For a limited time, claim all 4 in Deceptor audiobooks for the price of 3. Step inside the private archive of discipline, power, and psychological warfare, where lust is conquered, the mind is weaponized, and legacy is forged. Don't just listen. Arm yourself. indeceptions.com